Good news, everyone! The 11th Circuit Court rules against trans exclusions, citing Title VII guidance. This is from Aaron in the Morning, and as I'm recording this, this just happened. And wowzers. So the 11th Circuit Court covers Georgia and other parts of the South, and they've had a long string of anti-trans rulings. So this was completely unexpected. Let's get right into it. On Monday, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, a federal court, ruled that transgender health insurance exclusions violate Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. This case was brought by a transgender employee of the Houston County Sheriff's Office in Georgia who was denied coverage for gender-affirming surgery. The employee sued in 2019 and after a protracted lawsuit, won at the district court level. Now, with this 11th Circuit Court ruling in favor of transgender employees, a significant precedent is building to protect transgender employees against health insurance restrictions that deny them the ability to get gender-affirming care. The employee in question first transitioned in 2017 after informing Sheriff Colin Talton at the Houston County Sheriff's Office of her decision to transition. She was told that he, quote, does not believe in being transgender, but that she would be allowed to keep her job. Very magnanimous of him, considering how the Bostock decision went. However, when it came time to obtain gender-affirming surgery, significant controversy erupted. Her claims were denied. When she filed a lawsuit to have her surgery covered, the sheriff's office and county fought against her right to equitable health care coverage. Since then, the county has spent incredible amounts of money denying the plaintiff her care. As of 2023, Houston County, Georgia had spent $1,188,701 fighting against providing health care coverage for the plaintiff. This is significant. ProPublica reports that it is over 3 times the county's annual physical and mental health budget. Importantly, no other employee has requested coverage for gender-affirming surgery, so fighting against coverage has significantly cost the county far more than it would have gained by simply providing the employee with the coverage she paid for. Ultimately, a lower court ruled in her favor, stating that such exclusions violate Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. In that decision, the judge stated, quote, the implication of Bostock is clear. Discrimination on the basis of transgender status is discrimination on the basis of sex and is therefore a violation of Title VII. He ordered that the county must drop such exclusions. The plaintiff was also awarded $60,000 following the ruling. The county then appealed the ruling to the 11th Circuit Court, which seemed primed to potentially reverse it. Because, as previously mentioned, the 11th Circuit has issued a long string of harsh rulings towards transgender individuals, such as a ruling that gender-affirming care bans for transgender youth do not violate equal protection or due process rights. In this particular case, though, the court considered a different argument, whether such exclusions on transgender insurance coverage violate employment law under the Civil Rights Act. The 11th Circuit concluded that they did, saying, quote, the exclusion is a blanket denial of coverage for gender-affirming surgery, and because transgender persons are the only plan participants who qualify for gender-affirming surgery, the plan denies healthcare coverage based on transgender status. In making the decision, the court referenced 2 recent developments that may change the legal landscape for transgender people. In one footnote, the court mentioned Cadell versus Falwell, a case just decided in the 4th Circuit Court, with the court ruling that discrimination against transgender healthcare violates the Equal Protection Clause. Though it does not reference the case elsewhere, the 11th Circuit Court used similar legal arguments, that you cannot circumvent discrimination cases by discriminating by proxy. In this case, like in the Cadell case, the judge ruled that discriminating against transgender healthcare is also discriminating against transgender status. The judge ruled that the defendant's, quote, sex is inextricably tied to the denial of coverage for gender-affirming surgery, and thus one cannot circumvent discrimination statutes by claiming they are only discriminating against a procedure and not a category of people. And that is fucking huge, because if you've been following transgender news for a while, you see there are a lot of cases where people are using the same thing they used against gay marriage, where they're saying, well, we're not discriminating against gay people. Nobody can get gay married, when in fact, the straight people are not getting gay married. So you are discriminating against gay people because they're the only ones trying to get gay married. Same thing here, but now it's in federal court rulings. The court also referenced new Title VII guidance from the Biden administration in a footnote when making its decision that exclusions do violate those regulations. On April 29th, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission issued updated guidance stating that Title VII protections include protections on gender identity. Although the guidance does not have the force of law, quote, numerous courts, including the Supreme Court, have said because these guidelines are based on the expertise and careful reasoning of the agency that's charged with enforcing anti-discrimination laws, they're to be given deference by the courts. Now, it appears that a major court, which has ruled against transgender rights in the past, has indeed given those guidelines some credit in their ruling. The importance of this ruling is hard to overstate, and it will likely be one of the many rulings referenced whenever such cases eventually reach the Supreme Court. On a personal note, I am rather excited by this because even though I live in the much more blue state New York, I have a similar problem with my own healthcare. While my job is highly supportive of my transition, there's only one healthcare plan offered, and I immediately checked with them as soon as I got my card and all the information and whatnot, and gender care is specifically excluded. They simply say we do not cover it. But since according to this ruling, gender care cannot be separated from transgender status since only transgender people need it, even though the 11th Circuit Court doesn't have jurisdiction in New York, considering that one of the most conservative courts in the country ruled this way, seems likely that if a lawsuit, and again, these lawsuits get very, very, very expensive, if a lawsuit did happen to occur in New York State, it could be very expensive and the healthcare provider would inevitably lose. So I'm kind of excited because I am definitely sending this information on to my HR department and my healthcare plan with an advisory that if they change their policy ahead of the rollout of federal regulations on this matter, they could save themselves potentially millions of dollars. And I might get some healthcare, which would be bloody nice. In the ongoing battle against transphobic nonsense, there are few warriors as dedicated as medical professionals. If you've been following this channel for a little while, you know that we've been following the fallout from the Cass Review over in England. And this week, American health professionals struck back. From Aaron in the Morning, Endocrine Society and American Academy of Pediatrics respond to Cass and reject bans. Over the past few weeks, Dr. Hilary Cass has begun giving interviews in the United States to defend her report targeting transgender care. The Cass Review has faced criticism for its alleged anti-trans political ties, biased findings, promotion of conversion therapists, and poor treatment of evidence regarding transgender care. In an interview with NPR, Dr. Cass claimed that transgender individuals' care should be judged by their employment rather than their satisfaction with the care received. Later, during an interview with the New York Times, Cass misleadingly stated that she had not been contacted by any lawmakers or U.S. health bodies, despite having met with political appointees of Governor Ron DeSantis to discuss banning trans care before her report was published. In response, both the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Endocrine Society have categorically rejected the review as a justification for bans on care and have challenged many of its alleged findings. In a statement released by the Endocrine Society, they reiterated that they stand by their guidelines around the provision of gender-affirming care for transgender youth. Quote, "We stand firm in our support of gender-affirming care. Transgender and gender-diverse people deserve access to needed and often life-saving medical care. NHS England's recent report, the Cass Review, does not contain any new research that would contradict the recommendations made in our clinical practice guideline on gender-affirming care. Medical evidence, not politics, should inform treatment decisions." The Endocrine Society defended its guidelines, highlighting that they cite over 260 research studies to support their recommendations on transgender care. Moreover, the guidelines were developed with input from more than 18,000 members who had the opportunity to comment. This process is notably more transparent than the CAS review, whose advisory members have been kept secret. Investigations have revealed that several members are part of an anti-trans lobbying organization, SEGM, which the Southern Poverty Law Center has described as the hub of an anti-LGBTQ pseudoscience network. Quote, although the scientific landscape has not changed significantly, misinformation about gender-affirming care is being politicized. In the United States, 24 states have enacted laws or policies barring adolescents' access to gender-affirming care, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. In 7 states, the policies also include provisions that would prevent at least some adults over age 18 from accessing gender-affirming care. The Endocrine Society letter reads, transgender and gender-diverse teenagers, their parents, and physicians should be able to determine the appropriate course of treatment. Banning evidence-based medical care based on misinformation takes away the ability of parents and patients to make informed decisions. Similar sentiments were shared by Dr. Ben Hoffman, president of the American Academy of Pediatrics, who responded to the CAS review, saying, quote, what we're seeing more and more is that the politically infused public discourse is getting this wrong, and it's impacting the way that doctors can care for their patients. Physicians must be able to practice medicine that is informed by their medical education, training, experience, and the available evidence, freely and without threat of punishment. Instead, state legislatures have passed bills to ban or restrict gender-affirming care, which means that right now, for far too many families, their zip code determines their ability to seek the health care they need. Politicians have inserted themselves into the exam room, and this is dangerous for both physicians and for families. Transgender care saves lives. A Cornell review of more than 51 studies determined that trans care significantly improves the mental health of transgender people. One major study even noted a 73% lower self-harm rate among trans youth who began care. In a recent article published in the Journal of Adolescent Health in April of 2024, puberty blockers were found to significantly reduce depression and anxiety. In Germany, a recent review by over 27 medical organizations has judged that, quote, not providing treatment does harm. The evidence around transgender care led to a historic policy resolution condemning bans on gender-affirming care by the American Psychological Association, the largest psychological association in the world, which was voted on by representatives of its 150,000 members. Interestingly, Cass herself advocated against care bans in her most recent New York Times interview, which was released earlier this week, where she stated, quote, there are young people who absolutely benefit from a medical pathway, and we need to make sure that those young people have access. Regardless of Cass's statements, her review is being used to justify bans in the United States and worldwide. In the United Kingdom, her report has led to bans on puberty blockers in England and even inquiries into adult care. In the United States, senators in South Carolina used it to pass a total care ban for trans youth in the state. Now, major medical organizations have responded firmly against the idea that evidence around gender-affirming care is weak, challenging states who use such misleading claims to ban transgender care as practicing politics, not medicine. Last week, a clip went viral of a woman being filmed in a bathroom by a cis woman. Let's have a look.
What are you doing?
Going to the bathroom.
Why are you in the girls' bathroom?
I'm a trans girl.
But you're not a girl.
Oh, we're doing one of these.
Yeah.
Interesting. Never had this before. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, I pay a lot of money to be safe in the bathroom.
Me too. Excuse me. Rude.
Do you think that's okay?
I have to commend that lady for how she handled herself. Stay calm, be courteous but firm, and go about your day. For the record, filming in a bathroom is a misdemeanor under North Carolina law, where this university happened to be, so the person filming was committing an actual crime. So this person wasn't just being creepy as hell and violating someone's privacy, but filmed herself in the act of a crime. Beyond doing what so many accuse trans people of doing, that is, violating privacy and doing crimes in bathrooms, she might also be liable under federal law. You see, when you film somebody in public, it's iffy whether you can use that video, even though there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. That's why when reporters interview people on the street, they usually get a rights release to make sure they're covered. Without one, the person being recorded could sue, especially if the footage is used for financial or personal gain. In a bathroom, where there isn't just a strong expectation of privacy, but actual laws prohibiting filming, without a release, this person has opened herself up to all kinds of culpability if the person she accosted decides to make an issue of it. I'm sure she assumes it's fine to violate other people's rights, as long as they're trans people. That's the dehumanization rearing its head again. But the courts don't agree. What's more, whether you believe trans people deserve basic human rights or not, people like this are a menace to cis women as well.
They just tried to throw me out of the women's restroom. This happens about 3 times a week. I am 1000% a woman. I just want to use the bathroom in peace, same as trans people.
Are you a man or a woman?
Why does that matter?
Well, because you're in the ladies' room.
Let's go get security.
Yes, let's
I feel
do
harassed. She's harassing me for being in the bathroom.
What's going on? Well, I'm asking her what her identity is.
It's my girlfriend. It's a full-on
Yes,
woman.
it's your girlfriend, so it's a girl.
You have ID? No, I do not. Then out. Then out. Then out.
I got
Put hands on me again, bro.
The moral here is don't chase black women out of restrooms because you are uncomfortable. That's a you issue. Don't harass tall women. Don't commit crimes against thin women or large women or medium-sized women. Any kind of women. Just leave women the hell alone. Yes, even if you're a woman too. For the TransPositions, I've been Ember Belrad.